Hello guys, I'm super pumped to be with you. It's a big honor to be the first person to not be from a Copenhagen university to speak in front of you, though I have to say it cost me a lot actually. Today in the morning I'm based in Amsterdam, but I flew out from Barcelona where I attended an event. I had to wake up at 5 and I'm not a morning person, so that was kind of a struggle. But yeah, I'm really happy to be with you and to share with you my findings, or to give you some advice on how to find your ideal career path before you've graduated, and to find out what matters that you can do. So, first of all, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Albert Einstein. I guess most of you know him. Me and him have a couple of things in common. We don't look real alike, maybe one day, I don't know. But we both grew up in Germany. I guess probably at an equally boring and small city in the countryside. And both of us were horrible in math and physics when we were teenagers in high school. He dropped out, and I almost failed my A-levels because of it. But that didn't really matter to me, because he went on to become one of the most famous physicists. I still suck in math and physics. Which is all right, because I chose to go another path. Although, when I was 17, and I told my dad I wanted to study international business, because I love traveling, communicating, presenting, he told me, Daniel, you know what, that doesn't make sense. You're really bad at math. You know, business is full of math. Don't do it. So I was like, okay, I will do it anyways. I applied for some universities in Germany, and in Germany, I'm really good at putting people into boxes and judging them by some grades. And so I got rejected from a couple of the studies. So I said, well, fuck you, Germany, bye-bye that. I'm gonna travel. So I went to South America for a year, came back, applied to international business and languages in Amsterdam. So I did study international business. And in those 3.5 years, I've done a lot of great things. I learned 6 languages. I started a business. I worked at several startups, one of them in London, which was just awarded London's best tech company, raised 30 million. I almost worked for the biggest football club in the world. But I also screwed up big time. And I hold, for example, the record, and I'm not sure, if someone can challenge me, I would really like to hear from you at the networking drinks later. I got fired twice in 3 weeks. Is there anyone can top that? No. Okay, that's the first time when a speaker doesn't want anyone to raise a hand. So I screwed up, I did some cool things, and I want to tell you about what drove me in the whole process and how I found my ideal path to, or what my ideal path can be, because a path is never fixed, it's fluid, and it can change over time. But once you know that, life becomes a little easier and more fulfilled. So if you're thinking, should I listen to this dude? He almost failed his math classes, now telling me of an equation. That's crazy. I'm telling you, no worries, you can stay. There are no numbers involved. It all begins with your potential. Your potential, in combination with your passion, equals your purpose. And your purpose is what defines your path. And this here is not going to be a philosophical lecture. This is actually going to be rather real life and practical. I want to tell you about my experiences and what those things can mean to you and what they meant to me. But first of all, what does that even mean, what matters? Do I want to tell you what matters to me? Well, actually, I'm here to inspire you to find out what matters. And there are 2 variables here. The first of all is you. That's why there is a person here with an arrow. If you shoot with an arrow, if you aim, you got to pull it backwards. Because it's all about you, yourself. It's not about what matters to your parents, what matters to your friends. It's all about you. The second here is our society, the world, the environment. And studies say that most of us, millennials, Gen Z, you know, all of these young, new, innovative people, for us what matters more than just career success and status is actually contributing to the world, leaving positive impact. So the intersection of both is where your path, your ideal path, can come out of that. And the first one is your potential. Now this guy has a tremendous potential, massive. But I mean, it's more physical. And I want to talk with you about that potential that you have in here. And your potential is not defined by your grades. It's not defined by what you study. And it's not defined by what others tell you it is. Now, I want every one of you to look at your neighbor now. Right now. Just look. That's maybe a bit awkward for if you had to try to avoid eye contact so far. But maybe something great can happen after, drinks. Now you know him or her. He's different, or she's different, right? Logic. And every one of you is different. We're unique. We have unique genetics, unique thoughts. We live in a unique environment. This here right now is unique. It will never, ever happen again. So is your potential. So potential are your unique abilities, your current unique abilities, skills, or the ones in the future, to actually add value to the world and to do what matters to you. Now, I told you that my dad didn't believe in my potential, which is fine. I still love my dad, so I have a good relationship to my dad. If you watch this later, it's all fine. It also encouraged me to actually prove him wrong and also prove, the society I was in wrong. But I also, when I was in the first year of my study, I almost failed my sales course. So my worst subject in school and university was sales. And at that time, I just started my first company. It was a student company, and we were trying to make a real one out of it. We failed eventually, but it was a great, great experience. And I did sales in the second part, and I actually thought I was pretty good at it. So I thought, what is that? So I was not discouraged. I thought, okay, I'm gonna learn now what it really takes to be a great salesperson. And I watched videos on YouTube, I read blogs, listened to podcasts, talked to people who are in the scene. And I got a job back then at a call center in sales. And I tried to apply everything I read. Everything I embraced it and continuously tried to improve. After that, I worked for 2 other startups in Amsterdam. One that was to raise the biggest seed round in Amsterdam. And I was account manager with, I think, 21 years. And it was a part-time role, because obviously next to my study. And I outperformed my peers who worked full-time. Because I was continuously obsessed with being, really having this potential and learning every day. And later on, when it was my internship semester, when others, you just apply for an internship role, I worked for a startup in London called Onfido. They were just elected best UK startup, raised 30 million. And I had to pass 5 interview stages. The last stage was the end boss, I call him. Worked 15 years at Google, super intimidating. And that was pretty tough. But I managed to, survive that interview and actually land the job because of also what Alexander told you, because of my personality. That was what they looked at, cultural affinity things, but also my potential to benefit the company. So I want to tell you in terms of potential. Don't think that you are good or bad at something only by your grade or by what you study or what others tell you until you really do it in the real life. So that's your potential. The second is your passion. Apologies for this cheesy picture here. You cannot find it on Instagram with #passion because back then I didn't have Instagram actually, just started using it recently. But the important thing here is the football over there. And when I talk to people and ask them, what is your passion? Many people tell me, it's actually, I like playing football, I like reading, I like cooking. But for most people, that's not their passion. That's a hobby. It's what they enjoy doing. A passion is something much more powerful. A passion is something that if you do it, you lose yourself. You forget everything around you. You're in this zone. And it doesn't feel like work. And the passion can be not only something, in my case, for example, I introduced myself when I was 5 years old as Oliver Kahn. When I talk to people, he's like the equivalent, for those who not know, with Peter Schmeichel, I guess. You know, you're a Danish idol. And so I was always, I was semi-pro in Germany, but I was not good enough to be a real football pro. Obviously, that's everyone's dream. But I was really driven by this idea of working one day in football. And I actually achieved it with just 21 years. That was when my potential that I had gained, my skills, helped me achieve my passion and combine those. It was a startup called Metrica Sports, and they do tactical analysis software for football clubs. Recently, they started working with FC Barcelona. And I was their first intern in sales and business development. And when I talked to the guys, they had 16 applicants, and I had just finished my first sales job. But I was so passionate, I could tell them everything, every player, every club, that they chose me instead of others. I remember one day there was actually an ex-football pro coming into the office, and I was just like 21, looking at me, it's like, sorry, I got your job. But that was my dream job. I didn't earn much, but that didn't matter to me. It was my passion, and it was really like, it didn't feel like work. I loved going there, I loved working there. I even stayed 10 hours longer in the office. Not per day, but on a weekly basis. So your passion can be that. It can be not your hobby, but something that if you want to take your hobby a step further and combine it with your profession, it is possible. I'm pretty sure also here in Copenhagen, I don't know the scene yet. I'm looking forward to getting to know some people in the next days. But there is probably someone doing something that's related to your passion. May it be fashion or sports, football. But a passion is not only something that we consider a hobby. It can also be an idea, for example. You can be passionate about an idea. You can be passionate about changing the world in your own way. You can be passionate about, fighting poverty, or about working on creative solutions for sustainability. Those things you can be passionate about. And you develop these passions over time. You can also start working on something and don't realize it's your passion until you're really in there. And once you're in there, you realize, wow, that's actually what I've been looking for. So try out different things. And other ways to find your passion are generally reflect, listen inside of you, but also think about what made you proud. Was it maybe the one time that you did this community event with 4 people and you led the team, and maybe you're really passionate entrepreneur? Could be. Another thing is go out of your comfort zone. Many people I talk to say they don't know what their passion is. I believe everyone has a passion, and it could be multiple passions. And very often you need to go outside of your comfort zone, outside of your environment, outside of your friend group to discover that. Another way is, like Anna said, for example, get a mentor or a shadow. I don't know if you know the concept of shadowing, where you just go and shadow a person whilst he or she is doing her job. I had a girl shadow my work in London who studied environmental technologies at LSE in London, and she wanted to get into the startup life. She wanted to know, how do you sell? How do you get into big companies? So I had her over for 2 days. It was an amazing experience. Now, the third one is your purpose. And it's not the third one, actually. It's a consequence of knowing your potential and your passion. Your purpose, as I see it, is a combination of your potential, your passion, as well as your ideal view of what you want the world to look like. Maybe you also want to show your personality traits in there. What makes you stand out? And once you know your purpose, this basically defines your path. It's like a compass, like something that guides you. Because if you know your purpose, you're not just you're wandering around aimlessly. You actually do things because you know you're good at them, because you know you're passionate about them. Otherwise, if you do work, if you have potential without passion, it's basically just doing work, just completing tasks. But if you do passion without potential, well, that's more or less a hobby, or something interesting, but it's not really meaningful. Now, this is my purpose statement. My purpose is to use my enthusiasm and entrepreneurial drive to empower young people to find their unique path so they can live fulfilled life and benefit our society with their unique abilities and ideas. Now my question to you is, what is your purpose statement? I saw some of you writing, which is great. Now my question, who found it easy to do that? Please raise your hand. Wow, that's 2 people. Maybe you're just shy, which is fine. But 2 people in this room found it easy to do that. And let me be really honest with you, it is damn hard. And it's nothing that I didn't start initially with my purpose statement, but I realized over time that this is what drives me. And it's not easy to really know what you're passionate about, what your potential is, if, very often we just follow the patterns, we have our class, we go home, we do Netflix, we do Facebook. Some of you do work, some of you don't. But it's really something that comes with experience, with doing, but also with, for example, failing, as those are all important experiences to help you discover your passions, your potential, and ultimately, your purpose. And your purpose can change over time. Your personality changes, your passion changes, your potential, once you have your potential, it's something that's there, it will be there forever. But maybe you're adding new skills to that. So, I encourage you to think about your purpose statement, and if there's one thing that I want you to take away from today, it's definitely do things with purpose. And your purpose defines your path. And this beautiful graph here was done by me, and now you understand maybe why I failed my math class. But I think it's a pretty good illustration of how a path can look like. The important thing here is to mention that the general direction of your path should be up. But sometimes it's down, and that's life. Sometimes we screw up, sometimes we fail. I hold the record in getting fired. I failed one business. Did some pretty cool things as well. I would say right now, maybe I'm here. We'll see when's the next dip coming. I hope it's not too soon. But embrace these uncertainties that are coming. Embrace these failures that might come your way. But once you know what your purpose is, you will be able to work on your own life path in a way that's going up. Because when it's going down for too long, let's say it would be like this, then there is something wrong. Then you need to think about the parameters, which is passion, potential. Maybe there is something wrong with the job you're doing right now. Maybe it's not to your full potential. Maybe you're not passionate about it. And today we can change. We can change our jobs, we can change our study. Most of us will have 10 to 15 different jobs anyways. So embrace that. And make sure it's always going up. So, my last question to you is, what are you waiting for? When I was 17, I thought, and talking to my dad, I thought, I want to be international. I want to, travel a lot. I want to speak a lot of languages. Maybe one day, maybe I even get to work something football related. I've achieved these things. I may not be a millionaire, and we have the next speaker who is maybe one, which is great. But I'm pretty happy with my life, how it's going right now. And I've managed to do this before I'm graduated. And it's just a metaphor, obviously, guys. Like, it's not that you need to freak out now if you don't know what your real path is. It takes a while. It takes some time. But it also doesn't have to be. There are people that have 10 years of experience, and they are frustrated, they do the same job in the same way all the time, and they don't really progress. And you can do the same progress just in a couple of years while you're studying. So, finding your path tomorrow starts with you acting today. Thank you for your attention and have a great event.